This is my stop.
What?
I've got to get off, or I may go pop. Excuse me. Excuse me. I've got to be direct.
La la la.
I don't remember this part.
La la la.
You're standing on my neck.
La la la.
You're standing on my neck.
Da na 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 na.
La 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 la. So, that was the theme song to Daria.
What?
Yes.
What's that?
That was the theme song to Daria, and we sang that very poorly for a very good reason. Today's podcast is going to be about our formative shows, the shows we watched when we were younger that really stuck out to us and helped us in an emotional way.
Yeah, and listen, you already know there's going to be a dissertation about Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Of course.
I'm sorry, you can opt out of the drinking game in this episode because it's like it just has to happen. But anyway, so we've also implemented a new thing. Because some non-human beings really enjoy interrupting our show.
Yes.
So
Miss
we figured,
robot thing over here.
why not incorporate her into the show since we kind of need to experiment with the title anyway.
Yeah, we do.
So why don't you let her make her debut?
Alexa, what are they listening to?
The best podcast in the world. It's the Nerdy 30s. We're thinking about changing the name.
That last part is a spoof on Mystic Spiral from Daria because they're thinking about changing the name.
Also, it's kind of a real thing because every time like I search for us on something, like it seems like a new Nerdy 30s pops up, like not as like younger than us.
Can I just say often imitated, never duplicated?
Yeah. I mean, like, we don't have, like, a ton of followers, but we have better content, I think.
Because we're hilarious.
That's just me being full of myself. But...
You did get recognized.
I did. I got recognized. By the way, this is Travis Harrison.
Oh, and this is Naoma.
I know we got confused because we let...
We had Alexa do our announcing.
Do it. She's listening now, isn't she?
Oh, she is listening.
Okay.
I wonder what she's going to say.
What's going on?
Oh, she said nothing.
That's right. Okay. But I did get recognized at the grocery store the other day. It was a friend of a friend. It was one of Erin's sister's friends. Mm-hmm. But she could have just said, hey, you know Erin, right? I was at the grocery store, and she was like, you do the Nerdy 30s podcast. And I was like, oh, yes, I do.
Why, yes.
Why, yes.
That is 100% what I do.
And, like, I was so taken aback. Like, I don't remember anything else. So sorry, lady. Like, thank you for listening. I forgot your name, and I'm so sorry.
I think I know who she is, but I'm not 100% sure. If I'm thinking right. There's a couple different possibilities, so I don't want to say it on here and then get it wrong.
I appreciate you. Thank you for noticing me for something that I put a lot of hard work into.
Yeah.
It feels nice.
It's very nice of you. Thank you so much.
But back to our shows. We might as well start with Daria because we already had
the whole beginning has been nothing but Daria.
Yeah.
So one of my formative shows that has been it's Daria. We know.
La 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 la.
So the reason why Daria was so important to me as a kid was because
Trent.
I hadn't really, partly, I hadn't really seen a lot of female smart leads as a kid. Mm-hmm. I was yearning for one and wanting one that I could relate to because I wasn't really a girly girl. I'm still not a very feminine person. So the fact that on this TV show, it was this smart girl that was kind of an outcast that wore combat boots, that would rather stay at home and read books than go out and party.
I don't think it's necessarily, like, non-feminine. Like, I don't think either you or Daria are, like, not feminine. Like,
right.
Like, because, I mean, she's still...
quote-unquote social normative.
Yeah, she's not, like, girly feminine, but she's, you know, she still pairs her smart combat boots and blazer with a nice skirt.
It's true.
And she likes to read, and, like, I mean, that's not a feminine thing, but it can be perceived as a feminine thing. I mean, because, like, Belle from Beauty and the Beast loves to read. So.
It's true. Well, my thing with that whole thing with her not being very feminine.
Yeah.
She actually struggles with that several times on the show because her sister Quinn is very feminine, and she's in the fashion club. And
I love Quinn so much.
I love Quinn too. But the stark contrast between Daria, you know, being this like introverted, don't talk to me kind of person, to Quinn being this extroverted, everyone loves me kind of gal.
I love the fashion club so much.
I can actually
Sandy.
I can do Sandy's voice.
Quinn, that top does not
So what?
go in.
Am I silly now, Queen?
And I love Tiffany. My favorite line of hers is like when she's doing her mascara and she's like, "This toaster is really shiny."
That's not Tiffany.
Tiffany's she's the Asian one, right?
No, Tiffany's the one that has the pigtails. That's really no, that's Stacy. You're right. Tiffany is that one.
I thought Tiffany was because
You're right.
because I remember she was doing her makeup in a toaster.
I like to wear my makeup. Does this skirt look good on me? She always asks those questions.
Yeah.
Just like 24/7.
I like her.
She is amazing. But I don't know. Just everything about that show just made me so happy because all of my friendships have always been very similar to Daria and Jane. Mm-hmm. Minus when Tom comes into the picture because Tom is a stupid idiot.
We had a Tom, I think, for like a while, and then like there's maybe one or two guys that I could consider a Tom. That we were just like, get out of here, Tom.
Well, no. Tom was Jane's boyfriend. And then
it was never that situation.
Daria and him macked it. And
it was never like that situation. It was just more like, oh, there's that annoying guy that thinks he's intellectual.
Yeah, that's true. I actually think Tom might be a psychopath. Because, like, horrible things will be going on around him. And he's just kind of like, oh, well, that's great. And then he'll make a joke and talk about something else. And I'm like,
I don't know. I kind of have that kind of sense of humor too, though. Like,
but I can see it on your face that there is emotion behind it.
Yeah, like when you freeze up when something like horrible happens. Well, anyway.
Exactly. There's a very obvious reason for that, and I mean, like he cheated on Jane and then was just kind of like, "Sorry, I kind of suck."
Yeah, that's not a good way
it was
to
just kind of like
a relationship.
Yeah.
By cheating on your best friend.
Yeah.
Cheating with your best friend's boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they dated afterwards. The show really went downhill when Tom came around. Because in the beginning it was all about friendship and her being like those two being the quirky outsiders because Jane's like this little artsy chick that's like, I'm gonna glue stuff to my face.
I feel like every character was, except for maybe the Fashion Club, but even they were kind of quirky and weird.
Yeah.
Like, but every character was kind of presented as an outsider. Like even Brittany
the jocks, Brittany and Kevin. I love Brittany and Kevin.
Brittany's so stupid.
I just love her. What's amazing about Brittany is she will just, so just talking to her, she'll say things that are not very smart. But they were doing paintball one day, and she knew tactical skills. Like, she was telling everybody what to do, and their team won because of Brittany.
She's a cheerleader, and she knows team formation.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
She's passionate. She can be smart in other ways. She
yes.
can be book smart.
Exactly. And I like that they showed that about her. I also, in that episode, one of my favorite things happens where the really sensitive teacher, I can't think of what his name is right now.
Oh, the one that's always, wait, no. I know what you're talking about.
Let's just sit down and talk about this. You know, that guy, little redheaded guy, looks like Conan O'Brien, gets with the feminist teacher who's like, you man! And they do it in a tent. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Way against type. Like, I would think that both of them were not into that.
They loved it. They loved it. They kept on dating afterwards.
I got confused because you said teacher, and I was thinking about the crazy one. That his
the
eyeballs
angry
are always
guy?
bulging out.
Yeah, the angry guy. No. No, I don't think he dated. There was a part of me that thought that the feminist teacher and the eyebulgy teacher dated or was married, and that's why she was so mad all the time. Because they're both pretty hostile people, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I like the way they portray characters. They also did a good job. I mean, they didn't have like a lot of them, but the few characters of color they did have,
yes, Jody
were good. Jody, she was the smartest girl in school. She was the valedictorian, but she also
her daddy's rich.
I know, and she was still a proud black woman. She still talked about African American history and stuff like that, all the time. And it wasn't portrayed as she wasn't portrayed as quote unquote ghetto or anything. Exactly.
Daria was ahead of its time with that.
And speaking of Jody, she's going to be one of the main characters of the new Daria reboot that's coming out.
Yeah, it's called Daria and Jody.
It's not a reboot. I think it's like a sequel.
Yeah, it's a sequel of them as an adult working together, I believe. It would be interesting to see if Daria follows in her mom's footsteps and becomes a lawyer.
Or lawyer. Why did I think her was a reporter? I don't know.
Her dad does marketing. Maybe that's what
maybe it's just because she looks like a reporter to me.
She does. She has the newswoman. You would see her on the news and she'd be like, "The weather is crazy," But one of my favorite things on that show is the relationship between Daria and Trent. And when they stop it is when I lose interest in the show. So Trent is Jane's older brother, and he's like this layabout that plays in a band called Mystic Spiral, and they're thinking about changing the name. And he's really attractive as a cartoon. I can't. I looked up the voice actor for Trent, and he looks nothing like Trent.
I imagine.
So I was like, oh man. I don't remember what his actual name is. I know his last name's Gonzalez or something like that.
You know he reminds me of God, what's his name? The lead singer of the Stone Temple Pilots that died a couple years ago.
Oh. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Reminds me a lot of him.
I could see that. He always kind of had a Jacob Dylan vibe to me.
Yeah.
I could see him singing One Headlight and then Daria swooning in the background. But yeah, I really liked their relationship, and it kind of reminded me of me whenever I was around a boy that I liked when I was younger, because I'd be like, I don't know how to be normal around you. So
eat a lot of pizza.
It's I'm just gonna put some pizza on my face because I don't remember how to eat. But one of the writers, I think it was the head writer, I think Nina Bieber, I think that's her name, or Beber. Nina Beber or Bieber, one of the head writers. She actually was one of the head writers for Clarissa Explains It All, which is kind of a very similar character.
Yeah, that is actually very similar. We were going to mention that on the Forgotten 90s show. I don't know which order we're going to release these, but yeah, we almost mentioned that, I think, and we didn't. It's sad.
It's okay. It's okay. I actually found out something interesting not that long ago about Daria. Her character was based off of Darlene from Roseanne and Janine Garofalo.
Yes.
And I was like,
yes,
you guys nailed it. Nailed it 100%.
And she was also originally a bit character on Beavis and Butthead.
Yes, she was. Diarrhea. Cha-cha-cha. That's what they said to her.
They did.
Yeah, all the time.
She was completely different, though.
She had a similar look, but she was a lot more plain.
Yeah.
She was a very bit character, and then her character moved, and somehow when her move happened, she became a woman.
She was, she hit that period of time in your teenage years where, you just, suddenly you're cynical.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Right.
Even if you're a bubbly teenager, you hit that at some point.
I'm at that right now.
We never left.
We've been in it forever.
We've been in it for 15 years.
So I have an idea as to why I think people find Trent so attractive. I want to know what you think. Why do you think people find Trent so attractive?
It's because it's that bad boy thing. It's that he's probably not gonna go anywhere with this band, and that maybe in 10 years he's going to be the one that's working at the fast food restaurant, but he's so hot, and You know, there's
oozes charisma.
something animalistic about like a really dirty guy that just draws you to him. Like you know, like that's like the classic trope of like just the bad greaser boy.
Can't help it.
You can't help it. You know, it might not turn out the way you're thinking of. You know, you're probably not going to change him into the perfect house husband.
But you're going to like it while you're in there.
But you're going to try. And you're going to get dirty doing it.
I agree with part of what you're saying, but my part, why I think he's so attractive, is he actually is very, very perceptive.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a band. He actually mentioned this at one point, that he's like, I'm an artist. I can pick up on energies around people, you know? And he's, like, so calm and level-headed. And there are times when he knows that something's going to embarrass Daria, and he chooses to do something else so Daria doesn't get embarrassed because he knows she has a crush on him.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that where I'm like, there's more to him than just being the lazy rock star that does whatever he wants. You know, he actually cares about people and wants people to feel good about themselves. So that's what I like about Trent.
Also, now that you mention it, for like having connections to Clarissa Explains It All, I feel like he's very similar to her little neighbor boy.
Oh, yes.
That's always like coming up with the ladder. Even the little guitar riff they play when he comes up is very similar.
You know what? She's kind of like Darlene off of Roseanne as well. Because David would always come up into her window.
Come to my window.
Oh!
Except they're not lesbians. Well, Darlene is now.
Darlene is now. But in the new series, they actually had her make out with David. And I was like, you're a lesbian, honey. Just let your character be gay. But, I don't know. But, I really like that show. And it made me feel good about being a smart girl. And, like, I didn't have to put on airs and be happy and, you know, try to be somebody I wasn't to get people to like me. Because she had a whole freaking show about herself. A boom.
Yeah.
So, that's why I like Daria. And that's why it formed me. Because I have brown hair and I wear glasses. And I have a green sweater and I have combat boots, but I don't wear skirts. That's where we differ.
You know what? You just gave a monologue like a Mary Sue. Like I'm plain but gorgeous, and I wear
beautiful,
sweaters,
but I'm really
not skirts.
Clumsy. Dang, I am a Mary Sue because I'm good at everything.
Except clumsy.
I'm very clumsy. Oh, yeah, Daria's not a Mary Sue. That's another thing I like. She's complicated and has a lot of problems.
Yeah. She doesn't know.
Oh, God, this drink is bad.
Oh, God. She just drank one of those Bai lemonades, and apparently it's not great.
It's very tart.
For those of you who don't know, Erin has just discovered the world of ASMR and mukbang videos. And
it is the most hilariously gross but meditative thing.
And relaxing. And she's obsessed.
I can't handle it.
And she's considering a new career.
I could do it. Here, listen, real close. And then I'll just
slurp your lemonade.
See? Oh, do you want me to slurp the lemonade?
Ew.
That was not good. Oh, God. Oh.
So that's not a segue at all.
Sorry, everyone. That was rather tart, and it... You know when you drink something that's really tart and sweet, and it hits you in the back of the jaw?
Oh, yeah, and then, like, suddenly your jaw's broken?
It's like, what? That's exactly what happened to my mouth. But anyway, back to our formative shows.
So we've already told you... I'm going to save Buffy till the end because you know it's coming.
Oh, yeah, of course it's coming.
One show I mention often, but I haven't elaborated on. It's so silly and it's so stupid, but if you walk into my room right now, you'll be like, why does a 31-year-old have Power Ranger toys everywhere? It's because I love Power Rangers. I love it. I love Power Rangers, you know?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
So, I mean, like, I've always been a superhero kid. I've always been super into fighting crime, personally, like I do it all the time. But I think a lot of people like to write off Power Rangers. What are you doing?
I was dancing.
I think a lot of people like to write off Power Rangers as just like this stupid kid show. And, you know, I mean, it is. But, like, also, like, it has a lot of good lessons. If you've watched since the beginning, it's always been a culturally diverse and kind of social justice-y show.
Heck yes.
Like, you know, I mean, yeah, you can say, oh, well, in the first season, the Black Ranger was black and the Yellow Ranger was Asian. Gross.
It's like big whoopdom.
And, you know, I genuinely believe that was probably just accidental.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Even if those colors actually meant something, at least those ethnic groups were there.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
in the show at a time when that was not heard of.
Yeah, and the characters that they were, like, they weren't like stereotypical. I mean, you know, Trini was very smart and she was very empowered as a woman, and she was a great leader. And Zach, okay, they did play hip-hop music when he was fighting in that first season.
That's what I would want to be played when
I will give you that, but he was actually a very good character too. But, like, also, you know, like, they didn't bring up, like, you know, they didn't bring up their ethnicities. Like, they were just all friends.
Exactly.
Like, there wasn't a big deal. And, you know, I mean, yeah, maybe there's something to be said about bringing up stuff like racism, which they do explore in later seasons, but, like, not, like, with actual humans. They usually do it, like, you know, oh, aliens will coexist with us, and, like, people don't like aliens.
Right.
But it's always teaching you to kind of, you know, love people no matter what their faults are or no matter what their differences are.
I actually think that it's a better thing for them to not mention it.
Yeah.
Because it takes away the viewing like the people that are watching it, it stops them from viewing them as different.
Yeah.
It makes them view them as a person instead of just their skin color. So I think that it's a beautiful thing for them to not mention it. You know?
And you know what? Like, at first, like, they were very kind of caricature-y characters. Like, you know, you had the cute girl Kimberly, she's the Pink Ranger, she's frilly, and she likes gymnastics. But her character arc's very good. If you watch, like, if you know, accept that it's a kid's show, and, like, you watch, she turns into a badass leader. Like, there's one episode where she gets sent to the past, and she has to form her own ranger team to take on a bunch of aliens. She's the fucking leader. Girl. You know,
it's like Brittany.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just like Brittany.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's another episode where, like, the other Power Rangers are like off on a different planet, and she's the only one left on Earth, and there's an alien attack, and she has the flu, but she's just like, you know what? I'm the only superhero on Earth right now. So she gets up and she fights that alien. And she defeats it by getting it sick with her flu.
Get it, girl. Get it.
Because she's smart. And it was really great to have, like, a hero like that before I discovered Buffy, where it's just like, she's very feminine, but she's also very empowered.
Exactly.
And, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a frilly girl that's into, like, pink things.
Yeah. And also kicking butt.
Yeah.
You can be more than one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one says that you have to separate yourself from all this coolness.
Mm-hmm. And also, as a young boy that was questioning myself, there were lots of pretty boys on there. Jason the Red Ranger.
Are you going to tell that story?
And Adam I can.
Giovanni Ribisi.
I can.
No, you don't have to.
I should. We might as well.
Do it.
Well, I will say that my first crushes were Jason, the Red Ranger, and then Adam, the second Black Ranger, because Adam was super, super cute and shy and sensitive, and Jason just had really big guns. And I was I don't know.
Brawny.
I do. I love brawny boys. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, there's a whole story about... This is not safe for Power Rangers audiences. This is not safe for work.
If you are listening at work, stop it.
This is about my first experience becoming mature. It involves a Power Ranger doll and a Giovanni Ribisi movie. Because if everybody knows that in the 90s, like, porn was hard to come by.
Yeah.
It wasn't like today where you can just go to Pornhub and get, like, a free movie. No, it was you. If you had internet, it took you 3 days to download, like, a 2-minute scene. Or, like, you could go to those, like, little joke, like, card websites that had like a naked man on it. Oh, but like there's like a party hat in front of his penis. Oh. Because porn wasn't easily accessible back then. But like my mom would just like randomly rent me movies just without even checking it. My mom would randomly rent me a bunch of movies from Blockbuster when I was like 12, 13. And one of them was, I believe it's called Suburbia? Mm-hmm. With Giovanni Ribisi in it. Yeah. And if you know anything about him, he liked to pull his penis out in a lot of movies when he was young.
Yes, he did.
And so, like, there was a scene where he pulled his pants down, and I was like, oh, it's a penis. And I just started dry humping my Power Ranger, like, doll. Because, like
and
in
the
the
Power
90s,
Ranger doll loved it.
It was Tommy the White Ranger. Anyway, so, like, because in the 90s they had, like, the little stuffed animal, like, Power Ranger dolls that were, like, this big. Mm-hmm. I just, like, started dry humping them. And then suddenly something happened. And I was like, what is this?
He started laughing.
Why is stuff coming out?
Of his nose. Because he was laughing so hard and he drank some milk.
Sure.
Right?
It was milk-like.
Yeah.
And that was the story of my first experience. You're welcome.
Congratulations, Travis. Congratulations.
That's another way that Power Rangers changed my childhood for me.
It was the moment that you knew. You were like, oh, I like the boys. There you have it.
I got double teamed by Giovanni Ribisi and the White Power Ranger.
Was that what was going on in your head?
I don't know. I don't remember. God, this is weird.
I'm imagining that was what was going on in your head. Either that or you were like, oh, you just like focused on the out of focus penis.
Yeah.
And then that's what you were doing.
Because it was like a split second.
Yeah.
It was like he pulled his pants down and he quickly turned around.
Did you pause it?
Yes. That's how you do it. That's how you did it back in the day. Because you couldn't get porn, so you had to find a movie that suited your needs.
You know what I did?
Huh?
I would just watch NSYNC videos. And I'd be all like, bah, bah, bah. You
know what this reminds me of?
What?
There's an SNL skit. It's like a music video. Elizabeth Banks was like the guest, so it's like a girl band that's performing like a boy band. Like they have like white outfits on, like little
One's
hats.
the bad girl.
Yeah, and this the song is called "First Got Horny to You," and it's about their childhood crushes.
Nice. It's kind of like that one song. When I think about you, I touch myself.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's
that song. When you're little, you have no idea what that's about.
It's like the Buffy joke, where she's like, I used to lock myself in my room and listen to I Touch Myself before I knew what it meant.
And then she was like, ooh, my bad. My bad. I've said too much. I could say no more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where do we go after that? We should have ended with that one.
We should. But we still have a couple more.
We do. One of my other formative shows, you're actually going to kind of see a link between all of my shows because I guess I just like a personality type. Mm-hmm. This show is Hey Arnold from Nickelodeon. Hey Arnold was a little school child and he lived with his grandparents because his mom and dad were off on safari somewhere and got lost in the jungle or something. And that show had a lot of diversity in it as well. What?
I don't know. I just have like a crack theory. I'm sure people have come up with it before. But you said his family got lost in safari.
Yeah.
Is his family the Wild Thornberries?
I have thought this before. And yes. I don't know.
Because, his older sister, because the older sister, Deb, she is blonde and likes wearing flannel. Like, he's got the little flannel tied around her.
Their heads are not football-shaped enough.
Yeah.
Although, maybe that was a deformity. Because you know how kids have to wear those helmets now? Maybe they didn't, at that time, they didn't have the helmets. in that universe.
Maybe it's because, like, they're always on safari. Like, his mom got infected with some sort of malaria disease, and it deformed his head.
Does it do that?
It does now.
According to us, it does that. It does that. But what I liked about Hey Arnold was, you know, he wasn't the cool kid. He wasn't popular, but he was the kid that people liked. You know what I mean? And I kind of related to that. Like, I wasn't a popular kid. You know, I was nice to people, and I was level-headed, and I actually enjoyed helping people, and he's the same way. So I kind of related to Arnold, and for the most part on TV shows, I usually do relate to the male characters. But there's one episode that really stuck out to me as a kid. I don't know if you remember this one episode, but Arnold's getting bullied, and a kid wants to beat him up. And so he's like, what do? I don't want to have to fight him. I'm a non-violent person. So he's sitting there, and he's like, okay, well, I'll beat him with crazy. So he goes to the bully, and he, like, brings a boombox with him, and he, like, pushes play. And he starts, like, dancing and being absolutely insane and running and hitting walls and stuff and being like, don't hit me! I'm crazy! I'll hit me!
This sounds exactly like Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Probably. But yeah, that I also kind of relate to because I got bullied when I was younger. And I always kind of reacted the very same way, where I would either react to it in hyper bubbly, where I'm like, I don't care, or I would be like, don't mess with me because I'm crazy. So I totally understand Arnold and where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. Totally dig him, and Gerald's cool too. Mm-hmm. I love Gerald.
Also a show with a couple of overtly sexual things that happened on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Helga.
Yeah.
Helga G. Pataki.
Helga having the same situation as me and Giovanni Ribisi.
But about Arnold.
But with Arnold.
She had a shrine to him in her closet with, like, all kinds of his chewing gum. That's what it was made out of.
She said he makes her girlhood quiver.
Yep.
You know what that means,
her vagina shook.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Gross.
As a kid, I was like, huh.
That's weird.
I was like, what does that mean? I don't understand. It took me a long time. Like, it wasn't until I was like 19 that I was like, oh, that's what a loin is. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. And
pork loins?
Exactly. Well, actually, technically, I found out what it is from the Golden Girls. Because Rose didn't know what it was, and Blanche was doing one of her nasty stories where she's like, my loins were heating in my bosom and all this stuff. And Rose was like, what's happening with what? So she didn't get it. She asked about pork like you did.
What were we talking about?
Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
Helga and her sexual fantasies of Arnold. Yeah, I can actually relate to that as well for Arnold, because I had a lot of people that would kind of stalk me around.
But you weren't the Helga?
I wasn't Helga. No, I was more so of Daria with Trent. That's how I was, because I would just be flabbergasted and wouldn't know how to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your Trents turned out to be very pretentious.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Trent was a little pretentious, but, like, in a good way.
He was pretentious in a I care about my music way. You know, like, he wanted to put out something of substance. You know, so it mattered to him. Whereas the boys that I had a crush on in real life were pretentious in the way of they think they're really cool and they're better than everyone else.
Take pictures of homeless people and call it art.
It's like, how about you not take pictures of homeless people and maybe
donate money to them.
Help them. Anyway. But that's all I have to say about Arnold. That's it.
What did I write down? Oh, of course I wrote this down. You know, I have a similar thing going on with my childhood things.
Is it all going to stream together like mine?
Where it streams together with, like, a common theme.
Cool.
And that's kind of like diversity in representation of like a minority type storyline, even if it's subtle.
Yeah.
So my next one, it's more of the comic book that inspired me, but also the TV show, because who didn't love it?
I know, right? I know exactly what you're talking about.
X-Men.
Yes!
Da-na-na-na-na, 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 da-na. Yep.
I loved X-Men.
I loved X-Men too. Obviously, I mean, I feel like you got to be a really thick person to not get the metaphors.
Yes.
Because like it's either a metaphor for being a person of color, being a LGBTQ person,
some sort of a minority.
Some sort of minority, like you're being persecuted against, and people are rallying and having just hate rallies and trying to take away your rights. It would be really cool if like I got a superpower for being homosexual.
Didn't you though?
Yeah, it's the power of seduction.
I'm so happy that's where that went.
But yeah, there's not a lot to explain there. It's just like I really, really liked X-Men. I feel like they're not as appreciated anymore because of like the weird clusterfuck between Fox and Marvel. Even though like Marvel's apparently Disney has bought Fox back for Marvel, so they get X-Men back and Fantastic Four. But I don't know, in the 90s, in the big heyday of it, like they were it. Like they were the reason that, because Marvel, like the comic book company was going under. Like they were going to be filing for bankruptcy, and then X-Men started selling really well, and they had the cartoon, and that's what saved them. So it's kind of weird and ironic that like a couple years later, when they started going under again, I feel like they just had bad management. Probably. They had to sell off X-Men's movie rights, and then now like that was their savior, and so they played their ace card and gave it away.
That sucks.
And then they've been in a battle with it for 20 years trying to get it back.
I'm glad they finally have gotten it back, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why all the X-Men movies, like, there's not toys of them. And there's not, like, for a while there, they canceled all the X-Men comics because they didn't want to advertise for the movies because they wanted to kind of, like, choke them out of the rights.
Right.
But they held on until Disney came in and bought it for them.
Which is nice.
I'm interested to see.
I'm hoping we'll get some new material.
Yeah, I mean, like I like the old movies, but
I do too.
I feel like, you know, there's a time to end things.
Yeah.
And like I'm excited to see what other actors and what other directors bring to it.
Yeah, I want to see what they do with Laura.
With X-23?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that I always call her Laura, and you always say X-23.
Well, because, like, I know so many Lauras, like...
Oh, that's true.
Fictional Lauras that
that's
I have
true.
to, like...
That's true.
Differentiate them.
But I'm super stoked about what they're going to do with her. I don't know what they're going to do, but I really liked that character, and the little girl that they had playing her, was top-notch. She did a great job. Yeah.
I don't know if they'll get a new cast or what. Like, I'd like to see them focus, like, on younger heroes again.
Yeah.
Because, like... Those are the stories that I used to really like in the comics.
Yeah.
Was like them finding new like young mutants and like teaching them to use their weird powers.
Yeah, like in the first movie when Rogue came into town, you know, they were like, "Oh, well, let me help you with this."
I mean, that used to be like a common. They'd usually always have at least one little rookie teenage superhero.
Yeah.
That they were teaching the ropes, and that kind of died out within the recent years.
You know what they're probably gonna do? What Disney's gonna do with it? They're probably going to make, like, a Wizards of Waverly Place situation, but with mutants.
Well, they kind of already are. Because, like, there's a new show that is coming out. I think it's called Marvel Rising, where they have, like, a bunch of, like, teenage Marvel heroes, like, doing a ragtag team. It looks cute. I want to watch it.
I want to watch it.
I want to watch it
together!
I don't think it's out yet, though.
Oh. We'll watch it when it comes out.
But it'll be good. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
So, who's your X-Men boyfriend? I know who mine is.
You should know who my X-Men boyfriend is.
Isn't it Gambit? Or it is Logan, right?
It's Logan. I in real life, I would never date Logan. Never. Number one, he would kill me when his sleep because he would, you know, pshing!
I don't remember if we explicitly... Well, we explicitly talked about it.
We explicitly talked about Wolverine.
But I don't think we explicitly talked about why we would be attracted to certain X-Men.
Okay. So, I have two different ones. In the X-Men cartoon in the 90s, I was totally into Gambit. But it's just because I identified with Rogue.
Yeah.
Then, when the movies came out, I was totally into Wolverine. But again, it's because I identified with Rogue.
Yeah.
So, so there you have it.
So Hugh Jackman, he's a Broadway guy. He's really nice. And
he's good
fun.
to his little waifu.
Yeah.
You know, and his wife's pudgy, so he doesn't mind.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind. He's like, ooh, you got some curves. And I'm like, honey, I got some too. Mm-hmm. And look at these boobies.
Look at these boobies.
Look at these boobies.
That's her next hit single on her album. Look at these boobies.
Look at these boobies. Look at these boobies.
Yeah, mine.
Do you think we could get Hugh Jackman on it?
He does like a rap verse.
And then in between verses, it go ding. Like his
the claw
little
sound.
claws come out. Ting.
Because it's a metaphor for erections.
100%. That's where I was going. He has two.
Yes.
Because he's a Wolverine.
Yeah. Mine, both in real life and in the comics, would be Beast. Because, like, he's
so smart.
He's so smart. And he's so sweet.
Okay, I forgot about Beast. He is on my list.
He's a thickums, and I like thickums.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, I might be a little bit of a furry. So I totally don't mind it when he's fuzzy and blue.
We should go to a furry party.
I don't know if I could go that far.
Wait, don't they just... No, those turn into sex parties, don't they?
Sometimes. We go to a furry... Let's try to find a furry convention that we can cover.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
I want to dress up like a penguin.
I'm a sexy penguin.
I'm a sexy... I'll be a penguin that has like a coconut bra on. So it's like an oxymoron because the penguin's
Sure,
in Hawaii.
Tropical.
For some reason.
Tropical penguin.
I'm not a puffin though. I'm a penguin. Very different.
So your fursona is a penguin.
My fursona would probably be a cat. Come on.
I don't know what my fursona
Maybe a
would
platypus. Because I'm kind of an oddball and I have a stinger that is poisonous.
I think my fursona would be a bull because I'm Taurus and I'm stubborn.
I just made myself laugh.
Why?
Because I said I was a platypus because I had a stinger that was poisonous.
Wait, that doesn't make sense.
They do. They have a stinger.
Do they?
They have a little spike thing that's poisonous.
Where?
I think it's in their hoo-ha.
Oh no.
If I remember correctly.
That's a good place to have it.
They have it in the hoo-ha. It's like those poor ducks with the corkscrew hoo-hoos.
Oh no.
Platypus. I have to look it up now.
But anyway,
Platypus.
I am a little in
Venom.
love with Beast, so every iteration of him.
So whenever you watch Frasier, do you just imagine Beast?
Well, no. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, his voice.
Yeah.
I think he did have a perfect voice. I don't know if I like him as Beast.
You kind of look like Frasier.
Do I?
You do. It just dawned on me.
Weird.
Yeah. You do! Well, we're gonna have to post pictures of you and Frasier next to each other so everyone knows. And then we'll post pictures of me and Michelle Williams next to each other. Actually, I don't look that much like her anymore.
It's when you have that haircut.
Yeah, I'm looking more like... This is probably gonna sound really narcissistic because she's my girl crush. Anna Paquin. I'm looking more like Anna Paquin.
You don't have the big gap.
I don't have a gap. And that's okay. She can have a gap. You
Need
go.
your teeth.
You love that gap, girl. I also look like
teeth
Bjork.
or your thighs.
I look a lot like Bjork. a lot.
Welcome to Iceland.
You like my dress?
I made an extra hole in the sweater.
Here you go. The platypus is one of the few living mammals to produce venom. While the spur remains available for defense outside of a breeding season, the platypus's venom glands lack secretion. While the after effects are described as excruciatingly painful, the venom is not lethal to humans. Yeah, it's in their hoo-ha.
Gross.
In their hoo-ha. In their hoo-ha.
Okay, so we should move on to the next one.
You don't want to talk some more about the platypuses hoo-ha?
It's not that I don't want to. It's just that, like, I'm trying to keep, like, it on track for you. So it's not a rough editing process.
Oh, I see what you're doing. So I'm going on like 2 hours of sleep. I couldn't sleep last night by any means. Yeah. So I'm a little punchy. So if I go on spurs of platypus talk, that's why. So another show that was very formative to me, was The Monkees.
Yeah.
That was a very big one to me. Like, I loved it. It was a 1960s show. Mickey Dolenz, Mike Nesmith, Peter Tork, Davy Jones. They all played a band in California trying to make it big. And I feel like that was the show... Because I watched it when I was a little kid. We're talking, like, from infancy up. I feel like that was the show that kind of morphed my sense of humor in a way, because they're real zany. They say just like ridiculous things back and forth, and I don't know, like,
I feel like it formed a lot of your personality.
It did.
Because this is something that I've known from the beginning, is that you've always been kind of like a hippie, like, child of the 60s, which was so weird for, like, you know, us being, like, children of the late 80s, early 90s. Like, you've always had this whole 60s band thing going on.
So true. It's so true. And, like, one of the things that I really liked about it was the fact that they were a band in the 60s, but they were wholesome. Mm-hmm. Like, they weren't going around doing drugs on stage, like shooting up. Well, not in the show. Real life.
After this show.
Real life, that's a different story. I believe Mickey Dolenz said one time he got the clap, and I was like, I see.
Clap?
Yeah, he got the clap.
Clap!
Chlamydia!
I always was confused as to why it's the clap. Does it make a clapping sound?
like the minute you're infected with it, your vagina or penis. Congratulations, you got me!
I'm sure there's an explanation out there. Fortunately,
I used to know why it was called the clap, but I don't remember.
Fortunately,
now.
I'm wholesome enough to have not had a clap.
I've never had a clap either.
So...
Oh, there is a little fruit fly flying around my face. But yeah, but the big thing, this is kind of going along with the line that all of my shows have had. Again, these guys were kind of the outcasts of, you know, the civilization. Mm-hmm. They kind of represented the teenage scene, the peers of the teenagers who they could actually, like, befriend, but, and society didn't want to welcome them wholeheartedly. And the show kind of gave me the understanding that anything that you want to do, you have to be able to try and work for it, even if you get doors slammed in your face all the time. Mm-hmm. Which happens every single episode to them multiple times. Yeah. So that show kind of gave me my determination to make something of myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of, I was just telling you earlier about how I watched this video where Shane Dawson hung out with Kathy Griffin for a day, and like they were talking about how she was very self-made because he's changed the style of his videos recently, and like he hasn't had any financial backing. Yeah. So she was just like, I identify with you because, you've asked people for help and they've told you no. Mm-hmm. So you've just said, okay, well, I might not have the funds and it might not be what I want it to be, but I'm going to make it happen for myself.
Exactly.
And like that kind of spoke to me, and I'm just like,
mm-hmm. Well, that's literally that is literally what every single episode of The Monkees is. Mm-hmm. It's them trying really hard. Everything goes awry. And in the end of it, they're just back at their pad in California, being friends and caring about what matters. Love, hope, and perseverance to keep trying. So, it's a deep show if you look for the deepness in it.
They should have remade that into like a Brady Bunch movie.
They should have. They should have. Well, in the Brady Bunch movie, the Monkees are in it.
Are they?
Yes. They're the judges in the end. When they're doing the keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on.
It's been a very long time since I've seen it.
Yeah, they're the judges. They're the ones that shake hands with one another. And also, Davy Jones is at the prom.
Yeah, he's Marsha's crush.
Yes.
And people are like, who's Davy Jones?
But all the teachers are like, oh my god! Girl, look what you've done to me. Me and my whole world. I'm sorry. But yeah, the monkeys, they taught me a lot of good lessons, you know? There's one episode where Peter Tork accidentally sells his soul to the devil. And Mike Nesmith is his lawyer, of course, because Mike is business savvy. So one of the things that Mike says to him was, because, like, the devil said, if you can play this harp without any help from me, then I won't steal your soul or whatever. So Mike Nesmith, like, looks at Peter Tork and he's like, Pete, the music's inside of you. You don't have to look for outside sources to be able to do something or to be able to be successful. Don't worry about what other people think. Look in yourself and do it. You can do it. And there was just this little moment that always gave me chills where I was like, I can do it.
Did he defeat the devil?
He did defeat the devil.
Did the devil angrily go to Georgia?
Yes. And then he battled with somebody on a fiddle.
Yeah.
It did not go well for him again. He's not very sly.
The devil should stop challenging people to music battles.
It just does not work.
Because he doesn't have the skill.
It doesn't work, guys. It does not work. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I've met all of the monkeys now, which is super cool on my book. That was on my bucket list at 5 years... No, not 5 years old. I was too young because I was not writing big sentences yet.
Monkeys, meat!
Meat monkeys, please. At 12 years old, I wrote a bucket list because I was an anxiety kid, and I was like, well, I gotta get all this stuff done before I die, which I'll probably do in 5 days.
Call the monkeys!
Call the
now.
monkeys! We gotta do this! But, at like 12, 13 years old, I wrote on there that I was gonna meet all of the monkeys. And I did.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I just have to do a song with Mike Nesmith. But I don't think that's gonna happen because he's a bit of a grouch, and I understand this. He's controlling with his music, and I respect that, and I'm not going to push it.
Yeah. You and grouchy celebrities.
I love grouchy celebrities. I do. I know I probably shouldn't, but I do. What is it?
Oh, you're looking up, and then I realized it was probably the computer.
Oh, it was.
I was like, is there a fly?
That little fly is flying around. It almost went in my mouth like 4 times, and I was like, ugh!
Consent!
Stop going in my mouth! That's terrible.
Ew.
That's terrible. What's your next one?
You know what the next one is, because it's my last one.
Oh, it's your last one? Well, then let me do another one real quick.
Okay.
Because I have a couple of... We already kind of talked about the Brady Bunch movie, so I don't need to bring that up. But
yeah.
that one was formative as well, because I felt like that in the 90s, and all throughout my years, because of something that Travis said, I was always a 60s love child at heart, in a grunge world. So, I very much so felt like the Bradys. So, there you go. That's one of the reasons why I loved that movie, because I was like, I am the Bradys.
It's sometimes hanging out with you did kind of feel like that. Like, this is my friend Jan.
This is her. Actually, I would be Cindy, because I was the youngest of the 3.
You'd be Cindy. But your sister's already Cindy.
I know. Cindy is Cindy.
You didn't talk like this.
I didn't have a lisp. I had a really bad speech impediment when I was a kid, though. Like, little. Like, I had to go through speech therapy and all kinds of stuff, so I was Cindy.
I would be Jan, even though I'm the oldest.
Marsha!
I would be Jan, because I would be like, where's Marsha? And then I'd be like, kill her.
I can totally see you having, like, violent fantasies about things, and then it going awry in your head, and it going, like, it turning out bad for you, and then you'd be like, what a terrible dream.
George Glass.
Her fake boyfriend. Remember though, she met a George Glass, and she was like, "This is amazing." Wasn't it in Hawaii that she met George?
It wasn't Hawaii. It was the second movie.
Get him, girl.
Should have been George Tropicana.
George Tropicana. Kristen was Marsha.
Yeah.
Cindy was Jan. Although Kristen will tell you that she was Jan.
Please.
RuPaul, that was my first experience with RuPaul, and I was like, this is the most beautiful, shining person I have ever seen in my life. And I remember because, like, I looked at my mom and I was like, she's beautiful. And my mom goes, yeah, that's a man in drag. And I was like, cool. And she was like, yeah, he looks really nice, doesn't he? That was my first conversation about anything that had, I think I was like 6 or 7 or something. So, go mommy.
Great conversation.
Good job, mother. Yeah, but seriously, I love that movie.
I mean, I can mention a movie real quick. It's a very shallow reason to like it. Well,
who cares?
It's not a shallow thing, because, like, I love, like, monsters and fantasy and goblins. So Labyrinth.
Oh, that's such a good one.
So good. Some of my childhood favorites. Best music.
Oh, it is. I saw my baby. You can't talk about it without doing it. Come on. I
don't remember the words. Wow.
What could I do? You don't remember?
I don't remember, but you remind me of the babe.
We'll just do the what kind of magic spell to use?
Slime or snails, puppy dog tails, thunder or lightning.
And baby says,
what did the baby say?
Dance
but also,
dance.
also that is also an early gay Travis favorite because of cod pieces.
He didn't wear a cod piece.
Well,
he was just jiggling.
It was.
Anytime he bounced, we were like, "Whoa!"
It was formative. So that was that.
That was then. This is now. That's a monkey song.
I still find it arousing.
That's okay. My favorite thing about that show was when she says, "You have no power over me." Yeah. Because, like, that is such an empowering thing for a female to say.
That's crazy that, like, that's exactly the same way that Nancy defeats Freddy Krueger in the first movie.
That's amazing.
You have no power over me. And he's like, no!
And then she flips him off, and then everything's great.
Imagine. No, well, she just turns around.
I would have flipped him off.
She just turns around.
She missed a great opportunity.
Because, like, he was fully going to stab her, and she's like, no, I'm not even going to feel it.
See, that's great. But no joke. Like, so, the whole thing for, like, a female perspective of the Labyrinth is, like, oppression of being a smart girl.
Yeah.
And, you know, the whole baby thing. I always kind of felt like it was her taking care of kids.
Yeah. And
she didn't want to. And she didn't want to have kids. So, to me, that really spoke volumes because I'm not really somebody that wants to have kids. And the fact that they put it in such a beautiful metaphor made just, I don't know, it just...
Plus, I loved her dress.
Felt kindred spirit with her. You know?
I loved her dress in the ballroom scene, too, just on shallow notes.
Yeah. But just because she doesn't want to have kids doesn't mean she doesn't like kids and that she wants to get rid of her baby brother.
Yeah.
Just wanted to put that out there.
Also, like, that was it. Thinking about it, it is formative because, like, I like how, like, the Labyrinth, like, fantasy world was kind of, like, influenced by the stuff in her room. Mm-hmm. And, like, I always like that. Like, I like when, like, you enter a fantasy world that's, like, influenced by stuff you like.
Right.
Like I have ideas about stuff like that. Yeah, I love that. So, yeah, I enjoy that.
Yeah, me too.
So, let's put an end cap on this and get to the inevitable because, like, we have to.
I have one more.
Do you? Okay, go ahead.
Actually, I have 3 more, but I'm just going to say one of them because I don't have any explanation other than it made me love spooky things. Tales from the Crypt and Are You Afraid of the Dark? Those
Tales
2.
from the Crypt.
I just mother effing love those movies. Not movies, TV shows.
Well, I like the movies too.
Yeah, the movies are good.
Movies are so stupid but fun. One of my favorite horror movies is Demon Knight from Tales from the Crypt, which is
that the one that has Travis Tritt on it, or is that a different one?
I don't know.
There's one of the movies that had Travis Tritt on it.
I know that it has. It stars Jada Pinkett and Billy. What's his face? The one
Zahn?
Zane? Billy
Zane.
Yeah, the one who's the bad guy in Titanic.
He's not really a bad guy. He's just a patriarchy.
Yeah, he plays like the devil. But
so he's the bad guy there.
Yeah, but he's like a charming bad. Like Demon Knight is a really good horror movie. Like it's not really scary. Yeah. It's just like the demons look like bitchy Muppets, to be honest.
You know my love of Muppets.
Yeah, I mean they were done by I think Frank Oz.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But like what I like about it is even though it's cheesy, it's one of the only horror movies that I can think of with a diverse cast, and the final girl is black.
That's right. And she wasn't the first one killed.
She wasn't the first one killed. She's a tomboy. Like
nice.
She's not like a I occasionally like to skateboard. She's like she's the mechanic.
I love that.
And she's got a buzz cut, like blonde buzz cut.
Why don't I remember this?
Jada Pinkett.
I feel like I would love it.
And like he tries to sexualize her, and she's just like no, and like
get it, girl.
Yeah, she survives to the end. She becomes the chosen one at the end.
So she becomes Buffy.
Kind of like she, because like there's a through line of the movie where like where I think actually it's not the devil. He's like Judas, but like.
He's Judas?
Yeah, so
wouldn't that be interesting if Judas was like after he committed suicide, he was the devil?
I like that. I like that as a story element. But like in the plot in the movie is like the only way to like banish these demons is the blood of like Jesus.
Cool.
So like
but wait, do they have to slay Jesus?
Well, no, when Jesus is dying, they collect his blood into, like, this crucifix thing.
Oh, okay.
And then they keep passing it down, like, to the chosen one of the next generation. And, like, so when the previous chosen one dies, they pour some of their blood into it so that it'll always be full. So, like, they're like the savior. So, like, at the end of the movie, she becomes the savior to fight him.
So she's like Jesus.
She's kind of like Jesus and the Slayer.
Cool. She's a Jesus. No.
It's
I
a good
said Jesus Slayer, and I was like, not right.
It's good. It's gory, but it's not like it's clearly fake.
Yeah.
Like I said, bitchy Muppets.
But that's some of my favorite things.
But I like it. I love that movie so much.
It sounds like something I would really enjoy.
It's actually.
We'll have to see if we can find it on YouTube's.
I'm sure it is.
We'll have to see if we can.
But did you have any more?
I do.
Okay, let's.
We'll just do them real quick.
Let's do them real quick.
The Addams Family.
We know that.
The 90s version. I've mentioned it before.
We know that.
Now, here's my big, again, they are lovable weirdos that walk around to the beat of their own drummer. It was something that the show showed me that... the movie, I should say, showed me that love doesn't have to be really gushy. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be something where people give you presents all the time. It doesn't have to be something conditional. Like, these people did awful things, and, they tried to kill each other with cyanide and all that, but they still loved each other.
No, that's just the kids.
No, the adults do it, too.
Well, does Morticia and Gomez do that to each other?
They do S&M, but...
Well, that's consensual.
But Gomez and Fester...
Yeah.
They, like, throw knives at each other and stuff and all that
goodness. I saw, like, a meme online the other day where it was just like, if somebody doesn't treat you like Gomez Addams, you leave him.
That is my other... reason.
Yeah, but then it was just like basically if you don't get treated like any Addams, then leave your partner. And then another person chimed in, was like, except for Wednesday Addams, and then somebody else chimed in and was like, that's just how siblings are.
True. They're not wrong. They're not wrong. But that was one of the things when I was a child. I was just like, this is going to be the man I marry. It has to be like Gomez Addams.
Aww.
Yeah.
See, I've seen people do like a modern day fan cast of it, and a lot of people think Oscar Isaac would be a good Gomez.
Who's Oscar Isaac?
He's from Star Wars. He's
Is he Poe?
Poe. But
I visually could see it.
If you see him in other stuff, he does do. Like, have you seen the movie Sucker Punch? Mm-mm. I love that movie. It's so cheesy. It's like action ladies.
There's been a lot of people that have told me to watch it.
It's so good, people think it's bad or it's cheesy or it's too action packed, but you know I love lady action movies.
Yeah.
So it's so good. But like he plays the villain in that, and he looks like Gomez Adams because like he has his hair slicked back, he has a little pencil mustache. I'm just like, yeah, he would work.
I'm gonna look up pictures of this after the podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna sit there and then I will decide.
Yeah, I think he would do a good job.
But I mean, just thinking back on him in Star Wars, I could see it. Just, I mean, not. He doesn't have a pencil-thin mustache, but I bet it would look good. And then, lastly, Wayne's World.
Yeah, that's basically our podcast.
Yeah, Wayne's World is our podcast. That's the show. I was like, I can create whatever I want, and if it's not successful, who gives an F? I can have fun. And they never grow up.
So our podcast.
That's why I chose Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
We are literally Garth and Wayne. I don't know who's who because I feel like we switch back and forth. Yeah. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I can see it.
Should we have a theme song? Nerdy 30s! Nerdy 30s!
We should. Like, once we reach a certain level, we should just be like, we need a theme song.
Can we just use the Wayne's World theme song?
Just don't even change it. It's
Yeah,
just
we
Wayne's
don't
World.
have to. Just
Wayne's World. This is not.
We're in
the
Delaware. But anyway, to Buffy.
So, of course, we can't do formative shows without mentioning Buffy, which we mention all the time.
Yes. Please don't drink right now.
Yeah, don't drink. It's fine. You don't have to. Unless you want to. But, like, if you do, you probably have a problem. But still listen. Like, that'd be great if you
Pump
still
your
listen.
stomach afterwards.
But, you know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a show that kind of was like the perfect storm of everything that I loved, which was powerful women, horror movies, superheroes, just, you know, all of these... Vampires.
Hot
sexy
vampires. Sexy vampires.
That, too. Yeah, I was 11 when it came out, and I still was totally into sexy vampires.
Which one was better when you were 11?
Well, I was 11,
well, you would have only seen Angel at that time.
Yeah, I was only Angel at that time.
So, were you into him?
Yes. Who wasn't?
In the second season, did you very quickly not get into him? Or were you like, they'll work it out?
Well, I mean, like, I was still a kid, so, like, I think I was scared of Spike. But when I started getting to be a teenager, I was like, this isn't fear that I'm feeling.
It's arousal. See, I never liked Angel. I never liked him. I liked Oz.
Yeah.
And then Spike came about as a more predominant character, and I was like, oh. And also, I had a crush on Giles.
Me too. Giles is cute.
You not?
Giles is cute, and
He's got a beautiful singing voice.
So caring and kind. He's the same as Beast. Like, he's intelligent and handsome. And
he would be a really good person to play Beast.
Yeah.
I'd be into it.
I'd be into it too.
Anyway.
But the reason that Buffy really spoke to me as a kid, which I might have mentioned before, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail now, is because as a straight person watching it, you might not pick up on it. Mm-hmm. But the whole tale of the Slayer, not even excluding Willow, her storyline, the tale of, like, just the Slayer in general feels very gay, you know, because, like, she's the only one like her at her school. Mm-hmm. She has to hide who she is. She's a different person at night. And then, like, when people find out, she has to come out. Like, she's forced to come out. They make it explicit with her mom, with, you know, coming out to her mom. And then, like, her mom in the third season says something about the Slayer Pride Parade. And then, like, even, like, when maybe a little bit with Kendra, but also really with Faith, like, when she finally finds another Slayer, there's a little bit of sexual chemistry.
Yes.
And, like, you know, she's she's always kind of like, do I want to be her friend or her enemy? Like, am I her rival, or do I want to make out with her? That's kind of, yeah. Are we dating? Because there's definitely times when like it feels like they're dating, like the little heart in the window, and just like the little kisses, like because sometimes they'll kiss at each other's forehead. Yeah, so that feels very gay.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just always this element of, like, hiding who you are, coming into your power. And then, like, when she's older, and she's been the Slayer for a couple of years, she's helping younger Slayers. And she's just, like, she's telling them about how to own their power.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, it helped me a lot. Like, and I know that as a straight person watching it, you're not used to looking for these little cues, because like that's how gay people had to get their stories,
is looking for it.
Like for the longest time, like in media throughout history, we had to use coding, which is like there would be characters that would be coded as gay, but they would never come out because that would be against the rules until very recently. And so like I feel like it was kind of like another X-Men situation where it's just like they kind of snuck in this gay storyline before they were even able to put like an explicit gay storyline with Willow in there.
Right.
And you know, we had Willow and that was great, but like I still kind of identified more with the whole Slayer storyline. And that's why it meant so much to me. That's why the show helped me so much growing up. Cause like we started to get some gay shows coming out. I talked about Queer as Folk in the last episode. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But this show really kind of helped me accept my power as a homosexual.
And that is the same exact reason, but for a female perspective, for me. Because, like, as a little girl, you're always taught to hide how smart you are, hide how powerful you are. Don't let people know that you know things because they're not going to want to be around you because it's a man's world.
It's a man's world.
So if you come in at a man and you say, I don't like what you're doing, you're going to get in trouble. So it's very see, but don't speak. You know, like you can sit in the corner and look pretty. That's all I want you to do. So Buffy to me was a woman being able to look pretty, but also being able to be a powerhouse and be like, no, you can't grab my butt. I'm going to throw you on the floor for that.
Smash your head into the steering wheel.
Exactly. Like, there are just so many instances that I know every single female has gone through, that Buffy went through. So, the show means a lot to me because there's so many different layers, and the layers speak to so many different people, but they have the same message. You know, like, it's my message that I got from it being a female is the same exact message that you got from it being a gay man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we both took it completely different. But each one of them is about us being able to own our power, that we felt that we were powerless before we watched that show.
Yeah.
You know? That's why that show is important. Because it gave power to the powerless.
You know. And, you know, so many people want to kind of discredit it now because, you know, there's a lot of stuff about Joss Whedon coming out. And, like, here's the thing that I feel about that is that it doesn't belong to him. Like, he created it, but there's so many, first of all, there's so many, like, women in front of and behind the camera that brought the show to life.
Right.
There's so many fans that have kind of created additional content, that have created this community. Like, you know, we just did the bowling event, and it was fun because, like, you know, we were all just
hanging
nerds.
out.
We were just a bunch of nerds talking about our favorite thing and bowling.
It was awesome.
So, you know, it's a real sense of community. It's kind of unfair to discredit the entire show just because Joss Whedon has some issues of his own to work out.
But again, remember, we talked about this.
We did.
He is Xander.
We have a whole podcast about it, and you know Xander is his surrogate character,
right? But I mean, even Xander, even though he has so many problems, still wanted powerful women around him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and he messed up all the time. So the correlation between the two of them is perfect. So Stop worrying about his personal life. You need to separate it and then just enjoy his work.
To be honest, like, the issues that are coming up about him
are petty.
Are a little petty. Like, it's, yeah, he cheated on his wife, which is bad.
Yeah.
That's terrible. But, like, in the grand scheme of gross people in Hollywood, that's not...
Could be way worse.
We know, because we've watched the news in the last year. So...
Me too.
Yeah.
You get what I did there?
Yeah. Hashtag.
Me too.
No, but seriously, hashtag me too.
Yeah, me too. That was a hashtagging sound.
But yeah, so those are the things that meant a lot to us growing up.
There's more, of course. But
there's a lot more.
Those are the ones that stuck out to us at this point in our lives.
Yeah. I mean, there's other things that we could talk about, other media.
Yeah.
There's a lot of... We could probably do a whole separate podcast on, like, music.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That is one of my big loves of my life is music, and I would love to be able to do some podcast on that.
We need to. Because, let me tell you, on my way here yesterday, Landslide came on.
Oh, F.
And, like, I just got out of a very long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And, like, before... Like, Landslide was just, like, a pretty song, but, like, now, like, I understand the lyrics. Mm-hmm. And so I just started crying in the car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, music speaks to you on an emotional level.
I know, it's so...
You know?
This is why we should do another podcast, because, like, it's so weird, like, how you listen to songs that you liked as a kid, or, like, as a young person, that you just didn't really get, and then when you're older, you're just like...
It's heartbroken. Or you hear the song, and it brings you right back to that moment when you were sad. You know, there's a lot. I can't listen to Angel by Sarah McLachlan anymore because I used to sing it to my cat Punk. So the minute I sing it, I start boohooing.
To be fair, it is associated with animals.
Animals dying in general. I shouldn't have sang that
ASPCA.
song. I shouldn't have sang that song. That's what did it. Sarah McLachlan, you killed my cat.
Oh, no.
This escalated quickly. Oh my.
Well, also, Sarah McLachlan music was prominently featured on Buffy the Vampire Slayer to bring it back. So those were things that we liked.
We're so formative. Informative?
Informational.
Informative years.
Infirm.
Well, guys, if you liked our podcast, review it. Give us a 5-starer because we like 5 stars. It's better than 4.
I mean, 4 stars are good, but we prefer 5.
5 is just a good round number. I got 5 fingers on, well, technically 4, and then a thumb.
Technically 10.
Technically. I was going to say on one hand, but I got sidetracked about a thumb.
Oh.
Because some people like to be like, it's a thumb! Anyway.
But 5 stars.
5 stars,
Follow
please.
us on Facebook.
We're on Tumblr.
We're on Tumblr. We're on Instagram.
We're on the Twitters.
We're on Twitter. Twitter, it's slightly different. It's nerdy30s.
Yeah.
Podcast. We have like 10 followers on Twitter. We have more followers everywhere else. We started doing Instagram TV recently on our Instagram.
We put up weird stuff.
Amazing video of Erin. The audio is not synced and she's just chomping on chips. And
a lot of chips. I think at one point I had like 40 chips in my mouth.
It was great.
It was good.
So you should check that out. And then, of course, our website, the nerdy30s.podbean.com.
Yeah.
Which is...
And talk to us. We want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Let's be friends!
We post fun stuff on our Facebook.
Yeah.
Because we like to interact.
Yeah, and who knows? We might even add you to our regular Facebook pages.
Yeah. Probably not me because I'm shy.
It's okay. I'll add you.
Like,
you can talk
Erin
to me.
Erin will add you. I will be like, oh, they hate me. So like, I'll just be like, oh, I'll like your posts on our Facebook page, but like from afar, I'll be like, oh. So if you want to add me, go for it. Unless you're a creep. But then how will I know?
Exactly. You'll have to look at the photos and be like, Chinese facial reading.
That is...
And you'll compare the chart.
That is somebody's flesh on your profile picture.
This is making me uncomfortable. You're wearing someone else's skin on your face.
It's not good.
Nope, not good at all. So, bye guys.
La 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 la.
La 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 la.
We're thinking about changing the name.